Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking a look at Forza Motorsport. Now, it finally dropped on a PC and it's been exclusively a console title up until, well, the moment it dropped on a PC. So what this game actually requires, let's go through that first as usual. So the minimum requirements are actually quite nice. We have a GTX 1060 with a 6GB video memory, and the recommended GPU for this game is an RTX 2080. So altogether, it's about 6 to 8 gigs of video memory being required. RAM 16 gigs and at least an SSD. Nothing new. So what we're gonna do, obviously, as you know, is max this game out. So we're going with 4K native. We're going with the ultra setting everywhere apart from dynamic optimization. Now, when this game launches first time, it automatically keeps and sets anything on automatic, so it will change your resolution, it will change your render resolution, it will try to upscale, downscale in its own pace, so you don't have to worry about performance, which I believe is a good thing. Now, outside of all of this, the game does support NVIDIA DLSS, and there is an option for FSR somewhere. I've seen it, I can't find it anymore. And for advanced videos, you can see we're going with a resolution scale of 100%. This usually is set on automatic as well, which is at the very top. So that means that the game is trying to keep you on the best frame rate possible. Now, we're not gonna do here. What I'm gonna do is leave the ray tracing on automatic, because as you know, RTX will take a huge chunk of FPS, and honestly the game looks insanely detailed, so I don't even know if you really need ray tracing, all things considered, but here we are. So yeah, we're maxing stuff out outside of RTX, and anisotropic filtering is actually set on auto because, as you know, in 4K this does not really matter. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna run a benchmark first, the built-in benchmark, and then we're gonna see how it actually all comes together in actual game, since you know the settings. So let's do that and see what frames we're gonna get with the settings, which are everything's on ultra aside from RTX. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. Let's see. So what do we see here? Well, nothing really. So apparently, depending on the CPU, we're getting 278 and GPU 71 maximum. So when it comes to this game, there's no such thing as disabling vertical sync or uncapping the frame rate. It's all being capped at 60, which is not surprising considering all the settings we have cranked up. Probably the game is trying to keep us still within the FPS limit. So we're technically 59, 60-ish during the benchmark. So let's give it a quick restart just to make sure we're pretty much in the same ballpark, and then we're gonna take to the game itself. But honestly, Forza is one of those games I'm actually happy it came to the PC, because it's been a while. During the benchmark, as you can see, the GPU usage is 88, 90-ish% of the usage. So even though we're not using the full capacity of the GPU, we're pulling 11 gigs of video memory allocated and 11 gigs of RAM, which is not surprising, because end of the day, this game relies more on physics and graphical fidelity for the car or the model than anything else in between. So let's go for the actual game itself. If I can find how to launch it, we're gonna have a look ourselves, but so far I must say this actually runs pretty nicely on a 4070 Ti. So, yeah, how do we do that? Now, let's go for a race and a career. Let's take a Builder's GP. I've got myself a Subaru because it's a four-wheel drive and it's easier to crash. And we're just gonna take that for a spin here. The loading screens and the main screen is capped on 30 frames though, so don't be surprised about it. Okay, let's start the practice. We're gonna get a good idea about the actual game performance here. Which, to be fair, it's been a little bit up and down, not gonna lie. But hey ho. This game does feel a little bit arcadish with heavy impact on simulation.
Where you hone your skills with your latest build on the track you'll be racing. As you practice, you earn credits, and we'll be tracking your lap times to see how you match up against the competition before the race.
Okay, let's have a look-sees. So, trying not to crash. So all the assists are actually turned on because that's the recommended setting for people who never played Forza, and we're pulling 10 gigs of video memory. We're getting 60 frames and we're still pulling 11 gigs of RAM. As you can see, auto braking is enabled, which is not exactly surprising, but here we go. Now the one thing I must say is the damage model in this game is actually quite impressive. As you can see, we actually have some scratches and some pretty snagged up bumper here, so that's one of the things. When it comes for the cockpit view, I must say this is one of the best ones I've seen so far. Even when it comes to grid, you can't really get this feel for the cockpit and the steering wheel movements. So if you have anything like an actual steering wheel setup or a racing sim setup, this should track pretty nicely with your current rig, because even with the mouse and keyboard, as you know, playing drawing games with the keyboard is not exactly the best choice. I mean, you can do it, but you might imagine you're not exactly immersing yourself because you cannot control how much you turn the wheel. You either press a button and it goes all the way, or you just don't. So I would say this is actually not bad. Okay, let's go for this little shortcut, which probably is the pit stop for us. And yeah, this jumping between 60 and 30 is something I'm not exactly fond of, but then again, I kinda can understand why it's being done. Let's do street tires, because we're on a track, obviously. The pit is done and we're on our way here. It only took like, what, 2 seconds? I mean, that's above world record in F1, but maybe it's not. I don't remember actually. There was an F1 video where the guys were like changing stuff in less than, I think, 3 or 2 seconds even. The car does sound nice. So in terms of audio, this is full range audio support for this game, so the cars actually sound like cars. Surprisingly enough, because as you know, in most racing games the car does not actually sound like a vehicle. It's the same tone, but in this game the cars actually do sound a little bit different, so that's not too bad. Different views, and we're doing actually pretty well. To be fair, I would say this is definitely a well optimized game, and considering that the emphasis is actually on the car itself rather than the environment around, it actually delivers the performance you would expect. Now you can actually get off the track, you can spin out. That's a thing, depends on which vehicle you have. So rear wheel drives will actually spin out on a start, like a Corvette. For the front wheel drive cars like Golf TDI or GTI versions, you will actually see that there's a little bit of an understeer or oversteer sometimes. So all things considered, in physics land, this game definitely actually holds up the reason why people are waiting for Forza on a PC and why it's been such a hit on consoles, because we've had a lot of racing games out there, way too many I would want to say, but this one definitely takes the cake currently. It might be a little bit too arcadish for some people, depends really what you've used to playing, but for me all of this actually looks absolutely perfect, because the physics are the most important thing for a racing game, in my opinion. So if we compare to like Dirt Rally 2.0, I would say this is, if not on the same level, it's slightly above, all things considered, because this actually feels like it's meant to be driven with a steering wheel and a pedal setup, which I cannot say for Dirt, because for Dirt you can get away with a keyboard and mouse, really.
Required practice laps complete. Great work. Feel free to end practice at any time or continue running hot laps until the session times out. We achieved our target.
Okay, let's finish the practice for now because
That was a great practice session. Now it's time
obvious
to race.
reasons. Okay, so we're starting at 7th place. That's actually a pretty high position. We've qualified. What's the qualifying time for this? 1:18. That's not bad at all, to be fair. It's like, what, under 2 minutes? Okay. Fair enough. Good stuff. Let's go to race, see how we fare. And guys, keep an eye on those frames for me, because I'll try not to crash and burn on the first 100 yards, because that's what I usually do in driving games. As you know, we don't play driving games on this channel, so
It's a stacked
don't
field
expect
today
too
for
much
this
from
first
me.
event. Plenty of time to size up the competition before race start.
We're not sizing up anything, we're going as is, because that's what we do. Also, I seem to misplace my number plate on the back, but hey ho, you know, it's one of those things, really. Right. You know what, let's go for an inside view, I think, because despite the fact that I do love a third-person view for driving oh, full contact, literally just off the starting line. That's not too nice. I wouldn't say I'm the most peaceful driver out there, but full contact like this is a little bit weird. Also, we're kinda in the wrong category here. With the Subaru, I think we can actually do a little bit better than this. Now, driving with full assist is kind of boring. I mean, you just floor it and just press buttons and the car just keeps going on. Now, if you want a little bit more control over the car, obviously you can up the difficulty for your driving assists. But as you can see, this is what's gonna happen, because you do not control the braking, and once you get used to the point where the car will actually do what you want in terms of automatically braking and assisting you to turn in, you will try to just, you know, floor it. So this is kind of how it goes. Outside of this terrible performance of driving, because I'm understeering all the way, we're pulling 11 gigs of video memory and 12 gigs of RAM at the current moment, and we're roughly around 57, 56 up to 59 frames, so it kind of goes up and down. It's not a constant performance. Then again, as you might imagine, you don't exactly need 60 frames all the time in games like these, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Also, I think this is one of the best ones. Okay, so you know what, let's try to undercut them a little bit. We are 6 out of 24 and we have 4 laps. I think we should be able to actually snag a win here. We'll just squeeze ourselves in somewhere. And for a Subaru and a 4x4, I'm not too worried about all of this. Full contact again, thank you. Oh, no penalty! Look at this, they didn't even give me a penalty for it. Wow, usually you get at least plus 10 seconds for it, because full contact on a racetrack is obviously forbidden for quite obvious reasons, as you might imagine. So if you ever went for a track day and you attended the briefing, they can explain you the legal bits of this as well. So don't try to trade paint with other people on the track unless you're some sort of multi-billionaire. Yeah, on this difficulty it's actually, once you pay attention to the very brief training tutorial at the beginning of the game, which essentially says brake before taking a corner, you are actually doing pretty well, because even with my assists on and me just slowing down behind the corner or before the corner, we're actually catching up with the first two positions here, and we still have a lap left. So there's a good chance we're gonna finish in top 3 or even number 1, depends if I'm actually gonna take these guys in. And since I don't know the map, I don't know where I can actually push for an overtake, because they do seem to get away on a straightaway lines here. Gonna block the inner lane for this guy. We're gonna slightly keep us in. No point of slipstreaming, we're way too far.
Finish strong.
We're gonna play it safe, let him go through the corners. We're gonna cut the in, hard on the brakes, block him from taking us over, and just gonna go for a racing line all the way. The racing line in this game is slightly weird when you think about it, so it kind of tries to give you the perfect apex, and at the same time it actually doesn't, because I don't know why, but Forza has never really been too much on the nose for the actual driving in the track. It kind of gives you an idea what you should be doing, but whatever you do yourself actually works somehow better than what the game suggests you to do, which is kind of weird, because in Grid, for instance, if you follow the braking line, or for shift, for instance, you're actually gonna be way more successful at the beginning rather than before. Also, they kind of reward you for following the actual racing line. And here it feels like more of a chore than anything else. But I do believe we just took the first place anyway, so that's as far as it goes. So yeah, in all honesty,
We finished P1. Points earned after every race will determine our
let's see
overall
what's
series
the
standings.
time differences here. I
Winning the
don't actually
series
see
at
the
top
time,
of
but
leaderboard means that trophy is ours.
oh, I actually see at least 2 of my friends on a list here, which is weird. And I outdid my friend. Then again, he probably plays with all the assists off. He actually has a actual driving rig, so you know, I wish. Cannot do that. He's too good. You know, these people who take these games seriously, they're too good. So that's why we're playing with all the assists on. But good on him. Good on him. You know, I would never try to challenge him on this game. Anyhow, we got our reward and we can go for the next
As our
race.
car levels up, we'll unlock new parts that we can use to increase vehicle performance. We're
Yeah,
ready
we
to
got
head out
new
for our next
tires, and yeah, honestly, I think that's all there is really. This is the
Between each
performance
event,
of the
you'll
game.
have the opportunity to upgrade your car. Use the valuable car points you've earned for new performance parts. New parts will be unlocked as you level up your car throughout the series. Leveling up your car earns you car points, or CP for short. Using your CP gets you the best performance upgrades to install. Try to experiment with
Or
different
COD
parts.
points if you play
If a part
Warzone.
doesn't get you the results
same
you're
name,
looking
CP
for,
somehow.
remove it. Then use the refunded
Right.
CP for something else.
Anyway, obviously this is a tutorial how to performance tune your car, change things and stuff. But again, not really pertinent to the performance. So that was the performance of the game, 4K Ultra. Ray tracing on automatic and anti-aliasing on automatic as well. So take it as it is. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Over and out.